All right, everyone. Thanks. This is Nick. Goes by Nico. You can go ahead and put that down, Senor.
Sure.
There you go. And today, Nick and I are in San Francisquito.
This one?
Yep, on the Baja Peninsula. Nick and I's paths have been crossing now for, about a week now. We met down in around
Todos Santos.
Todos Santos, yes. And we've been crossing and meeting up, and now we meet here today, and we're gonna chat with Nick here, and because Nick has an amazing story about travel. I'm jealous. So, but Nick, tell us first who you are.
All right. So my name's Nick Odermatt. I was born in New Zealand to a Swiss father and a Kiwi mother. Grew up on a farm, and so that's where kind of my love affair with bikes started. You know, as a toddler, I was sitting on my dad's motorbike and just making the noises and pretending like I was riding around on it myself. And then, yeah, grew up in New Zealand. Typical kind of New Zealand kids lifestyle. Lots of outdoors, lots of water sports, lots of motorbikes. Studied Bachelor of Management Studies at university in a place called Hamilton, and then got a job working for New Zealand's biggest liquor company for 5 years. So spent 5 years working in booze, basically free beer. I was in sales, so I had free petrol, so I was carting around with motorbikes on the back of that. I raced for about 7 years. So
Road race?
Road race, yep. So 600 cc's and superbikes, 1000 cc's. So Suzuki GSXRs, had 3 of them. Triumph Daytona 675, GSXR 1000, had a couple of sponsored rides on MV Augusta and a Ducati 999. So that was good fun. Usually kind of around top 10 in the nationals and won a few club championships. So
this is in New Zealand.
That's
all
in New Zealand. Yep.
Right.
And then 2009 I packed it all in and moved across to London in the UK.
All right.
Yeah.
And then obviously kept interested in motorcycles. I know you told me you've had 35 motorcycles.
34.
34,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, don't like to exaggerate. So.
35 is the magic number.
Yeah.
Now, so tell us though about how the travel part came in. Obviously you're a motorcycle enthusiast, but now you are a motorcycle traveling machine. What happened? Yeah,
so I guess in New Zealand I got my kicks from racing. And that was in my blood, and it's just what I did, and spent every waking hour and every dollar I had on that. And then when I went to the UK, it's a different ball game. For one, it's a lot more competitive. 2, the weather's shite. And I'm a small fish in a big pond over there. I was moving to London. The houses don't have garages, so I mean, all excuses. If I wanted to do it, I could have done it. But then I kind of turned my hand more towards road touring, which I'd done a bit of in New Zealand, but never for any great stretches, over 10 days. So I bought myself a Aprilia Falco when I first got there, which was super cheap. We're talking like $1,400 US. And what I do, I took that around Spain and Portugal, took it to Europe a few times and really enjoyed that. And we're talking, soft panniers on the back, whack the tent on and just go.
It's a beautiful part of Europe too. It's a gateway to a giant continent. You can do this.
Well, exactly. And if we fast forward to now, Europe has been my playground for the last decade. So, the number of times I've been through Belgium, France, Italy, Spain, Switzerland, up into Norway a couple of times, Sweden, Finland, the Baltics, the Balkans, Wales.
I was going to say, give us. You've already got half of it. Give us. Do the punch list real quick. Where you've been on a motorcycle?
Okay, so that's the European side. So I've done over 100,000 kilometers at least in Europe alone.
On a motorcycle in Europe.
Multiple trips. If I run through my bikes quickly over there, I've had the Aprilia Falco. Had an Aprilia RSVR factory. I had a Aprilia RSVR. I had a 2011 Ducati Multistrada, a BMW F800S, and 3 Triumph Tiger 800s.
Gotcha.
And a couple of scooters.
Right.
But so those are all my European traveling companions. So
gotcha.
That took me around Europe.
Give us the punch list out of Europe.
On the global stage, yeah. So I had the good fortune of starting contracting and digital marketing in London, and I worked on contracts for a fixed duration, about a year at a time. So what I did was I started saving my money, and then I was working for Google at the time, and then they offered me a permanent role, but I said, actually, this is the perfect time to go, because when I come back looking for a job, Google's the last company on the CV. So I plucked up the courage and just said, right, let's go. spun the globe, and for some reason India just popped out at me as a wild, relatively unknown for me, but seemingly super interesting and cultural and amazing experience. So went and did exactly that.
Okay, flew
to Sri Lanka, had 3 weeks there.
Bought a bike.
Flew to the south of India, bought a local Hero Honda 150 for 25,000 rupee, which is about $350 and then proceeded to ride that for 6 months across
6 months
India and Nepal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you've done that. Give us some of the other countries.
Next big one was South America.
Okay.
That was on a Honda XR 400, which I bought in Buenos Aires from a French guy.
That's right.
Another 6 months, and that was 32,000 kilometers.
Gotcha.
And that was Buenos Aires through Uruguay, Brazil, back down through Paraguay, Argentina, down to Ushuaia, and then all the way up the Andes through Patagonia, Chile, Bolivia, Peru, Ecuador, Colombia.
Man.
Literally middle, bottom to top.
Right. So what I like about Nick's travels, he takes a method of doing it that I appreciate, and because I've been watching him do it and it works, which is fly somewhere, buy an inexpensive bike, buy some inexpensive gear, do your tour, and then kind of just sell it or leave it or whatnot.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing in Mexico.
Yep.
Right now. 4 months in Mexico, by the way.
Yep.
This is the end of 4 months. And tell us about your setup now and what you plan to do with it when you're done after 4 months in Mexico.
Cool. So originally I flew into Cancun and I bussed around for the first month. One, because Yucatan's pretty flat and humid and boring for motorcycle travel. Quite interesting otherwise. Two, I was staying with a friend for a couple of weeks. And three, that friend who's Mexican said, "Oh my God, Mexico's dangerous. Don't do it by motorbike, you're going to get yourself killed."
Of course. We've been taking fire the whole time here, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Well, funnily enough, there is some military personnel standing about 50 feet
we had an army escort.
Right,
yeah, all of yesterday.
But that's how you know you're safe, right?
Yeah.
Nothing's going to happen here.
I agree.
So my friend told me under no uncertain terms, do not get a motorbike here. So I was like, okay, well, he's Mexican. He knows best. I got here and maybe I'm a little more daring, or maybe I'm more in tune with the actual environment, but I consider it to be what I call perfectly safe. A few areas you have to give a bit of respect to and things you've got to be aware of, but no.
Everywhere.
I literally took the next bus to Oaxaca City once I figured this out and bought a motorbike. So I jumped on Facebook Marketplace. There's a Italica, which is a local brand, and the model is a V200. So it's got the panniers built into it. Relatively good suspension. It's comfortable. It's got a windscreen, 200 cc's. So it's not going to win any drag races, but it can tick along at 100 kilometers an hour, which is what you need for here.
And let's also reiterate: 4 months in Mexico on this Italica.
Yeah.
One fork that weeps a little oil. That is it. This bike has been awesome for 4 months.
And that could happen to any bike.
Yeah, and a chain that needs replaced.
Yeah.
But that's every bike.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. I put a new front tire on, 2 new chains, set of sprockets, oil and filter, blowing out the air filter a couple of times, and that's it.
You even had friends on the back for chunks of the trip. Right. No problem.
This is what we don't disclose.
Yes. Edit. It's been great. Yeah. And then
believe it or not, 2 up it can actually hold 85 kilometers an hour, 90 kilometers an hour, and with luggage. It's crazy what this bike can do.
That is amazing. And that bike cost you about
$1,800.
18. Sorry, 18. Gotcha.
Right.
Right, for the Valley. And now you're gonna now from here you're obviously wiggling your way to Ensenada, which you will then. What happens then?
Yeah, exactly. So as you said, I came with a carry-on bag and my swimming trunks and a toothbrush.
Right.
So I bought the helmet, gloves, got some Kevlar jeans, the jacket. So that will all get sold. And along with the bikes, I've currently listed that on Facebook Marketplace. I've already got a guy lowballing me with $1,000 offer. But in the grand scheme of things, $800 for a bike for 4 months around Mexico
deal
is not a bad.
Yeah, that gave you no heartache for the end of the day. That's awesome. And then you fly. Then you're going home for the next work gig to do it again, start the cycle again, save up, do the next trip.
Rinse, repeat.
And the next trip is?
Good question. So actually what we didn't cover off was I did another little trip through the US after South America. So talk about buying a cheap and cheerful local. That was a Honda Pan-European ST1100 I bought in North Hollywood.
That's right.
For $1,600. And that had done 97,000 miles when I bought it. But knowing Hondas as Hondas, and
no problems.
No problems at all.
Did the U.S. end to end?
10,000 miles from LA to Vancouver, through BC, down through Colorado, down to South Carolina, and up to New York.
Right. That's awesome.
So yeah, fast forward to now. Next big trip's Africa's a big one that I want to take on. I know you're keen to do it yourself.
I'll watch you and then decide.
It takes a bit of planning, that one. There's a lot of borders, and it's a place you've got to give respect as well.
It's the real deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's the Central Asian trip through all the stans, which I can do from land-based. Set off in the UK. So potentially I'll actually take my own bike for that one, and actually maybe the same for Africa as well. And then Southeast Asia.
That's right.
So I've seen a bit of Thailand and Japan and Philippines, but there's a lot more I want to explore by bike there.
Those are 3 great choices. I don't think you're going to lose in either one of them.
No.
So tell us this, as we're getting near the end here. What is the aspect of motorcycle travel that makes it unique? I mean, you could do everything you've done on a bus, you could do it hiking, you could rent a car.
Yeah.
But, and of course we're talking to a crowd here that are all motorcyclists most likely.
Yeah.
So they'll get it. But for the most part, can you give us just a brief of why you do it on a motorcycle?
Yeah, so it's it's funny. So you talk to any other traveller, and we all get it right. So you travel by motorbike, you can see the places in between, but that's exactly what it is. So your average traveller who's on vacation, who comes to Mexico, they'll be going to Cancun, they'll be going to Tulum, Playa del Carmen, Puerto Vallarta, whatever it might be, Cabo San Lucas,
Mazatlan,
and they'll see that, and there's nothing wrong with that. You do it your own way, and you enjoy it, and you can have nothing but respect for people who do it whatever way they choose and able. We are able to do it by motorbike. We're physically able. We can afford to have a motorbike. We can afford the gas, and we've got an element of adventure in our blood. That means that we won't settle for just the main city centres and the tourist hotspots. We want to get under the skin of a country. We want to see the nature and the roads and the people in between those other places, and that's the experience you will not get any other way. So anyone else who goes to any one of those previous places I've mentioned, it's a cookie cutter tourist experience. You've had a very unique experience to me. You got introduced to a man with a firearm in the Copper Canyon. I didn't see that guy, but I've had some other unique experiences along the way myself. So that's
would never get on a traditional
ever
airplane plop you down in a resort.
No,
correct.
Exactly, and the fact we're on a motorbike, people respect other riders on motorbikes. You're relatively harmless. You're one person, so if someone wants to put you up, they can do very easily, and you've got flexibility to go wherever you like. And even on a bike like mine with road tires, I can take it to some pretty extreme places. So.
You can, and actually to wrap it up, that is obviously the good stuff about riding on a motorcycle. So Nick and I, though, are crying a little bit in our coffee this morning. Where we're at this morning is way sandier than we thought, and we are now getting ourselves emotionally prepared to ride sand out of here, probably for the next 150 kilometers. Yeah. So that is the darker side of motorcycle travel, but it is the adventurous side, and you remember it, and you get an experience. So that's where we're headed this morning. So anyways, Nick, thank you very much. Wish you luck in all your next travels.
Cheers, Finn.
Right on.
Pleasure, man.
You got it.